got a carpet that you can't decide whether to replace or clean, well, you've come to the right place. This is Art of Clean. My name is Tracy Gilby, this is Pierre De Wet, and we're going to be talking about which is better, replacing or cleaning.
Great, thank you for having me around again, Tracy.
Okay. We love having you.
Thank you so much. So, interesting question there.
Yes, it is. A lot of people want to know, especially with the cost of living the way it is at the moment.
Well, let's start with the idea that sometimes it is a better option to replace, and sometimes it is a better option to clean. So, you know, there are certain things to consider, and in this video I hope to share with the viewers the things they can look at before they make that decision of just ripping a carpet up and changing it. First of all, I wish to start with what makes us tick here at Art of Clean, and that is, you know, definitely trying to save the planet, do our bit. You know, over the last 20 odd years, we've worked roughly for about 1,000 customers a year. So that comes to a total of about 20,000 customers. And if you consider, yes, we didn't clean carpets for all of them, but let's say we cleaned at least carpets for at least half of those clients of ours. And we then cleaned carpets for 10,000 people in 10,000 homes, right, over the last 20 odd years. And we have cleaned for 10,000 people carpets, and then say to ourselves, if we have cleaned those carpets and we've added just 1 year to the life of that carpet, right, that is 10,000 carpets that had another year added. So that's 10,000 years that we've added in life of carpets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than in life.
Even if it's just 1 year, it's 10,000 years.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot, but
yeah, that
you
does
know
sound
that.
a lot, but that's yeah.
But that's sort of the thing you can consider, and then where would those carpets go if they get replaced and not cleaned? And that's a whole other Pandora's box, which I can share with you. I was shocked to find out that carpets can actually not be recycled, as some call it. There are some manufacturers that say that their carpet will be used in making of underlay, and yes, in a new scenario where new carpet is manufactured and the carpet offcuts come out, or a carpet is totally not right when it comes through the manufacturing, they can probably take that very clean material and chop it up and make underlay with it. But I'm very doubtful, though some claim that they can use old carpet to make into underlay. I'm very doubtful because it contains so much dirt that I don't think anybody would want that in their underlay. No. So there are some very, very limited times when carpet can be recycled, but reality is that there is containing so many glues, and in a moment I can show you what the carpet is made of, and then you soon realize there's so many mixtures of different things in a carpet that it's impossible to totally replace. So sadly, either it goes into landfill or it gets burned. So the question is, do I clean or do I replace, and what is it? Yeah. So let's explore that first by understanding how is the carpet made and what can you look for. For the exercise, I brought some samples. Yay. So I brought some samples here, and you would see that I have a sample of carpet. And from this, you might not see it clearly in the video, but there's quite a low pile carpet there. You can see by the side, it's not got a very high pile on it. And it's trodden down a little bit, so the pile lays a little flat. Over here I have another sample, and this sample is standing up a little bit more. This piece of carpet offcut may have come out of a cupboard or somewhere where there wasn't much traffic. You can see there it's a little bit thicker than the other one. In both cases, I mean, this one maybe is trodden down a little bit more, it had a bit of use, so this came out of the skip where we dispose of old carpet that is replaced. So it is an old piece that came out of somebody's home. So this one is a bit more worn, this one is maybe less worn, but then it might just be a case of it came out of an area without much traffic. So the best thing to do is, let's look at deconstruction of carpet, and I'll use this piece because it might be a little bit easier to just deconstruct this one. So what we have is a primary backing and a secondary backing, and I'm going to pull the secondary backing off this. So what it is a layer of plastic matting that's been stuck at the back of this, and this gives the carpet a bit more stability. That is the secondary backing. It's glued onto the carpet there with using latex glues. And Tracy, this is why we sit with a problem, because we've got a type of fabric here that's very likely polypropylene, and then we've got some latex And then we have a primary backing which is below this glue here, which is probably going to be a little harder to see, but you can just about see it sticking out here, a bit of fibre. And then we have the actual carpet, which in this case may be a 80-20 mix of wool and synthetic. So you've got these pieces here that forms the carpet. Now, if we start by looking at the back of this carpet, I had to take it apart by pulling it like this, but many times when you have an old carpet, you start to see rucks in it where the carpet will make a wobble, and it's because it's starting to delaminate because of traffic on it. So basically this backing comes away and you have a bit of a bubble. You can see it at the back there, although it appears at the front of the carpet. And that means that this thing is just worn out, that the glues have started decomposing, and the carpet is what we call delaminating, and it's usually caused by a lot of traffic on the carpet. Now, of course, if that happens, I would definitely recommend the carpet is rather replaced, because you would not be able to restore this carpet with cleaning. You just won't. In fact, cleaning might make it worse, where you may actually break through it because it's not so strong anymore to hold together. That's fine. So that is one, but then let's look at this piece here. So this piece is an example, what I believe, of a carpet that looks quite good. We have very high wool content here. That's probably 100% wool carpet, this one, and the backing is still in a good way. So this carpet would be probably very good in this example of to be cleaned. I wish to move on to quickly talking about underlays and show you a few pieces here. So I have a piece of underlay that again came out of a skip. And we have Cloud9 here, quite a good quality underlay. But over the years, this underlay gets walked on and it compresses, and it hasn't got that spring anymore. So Tracy, it's important then to realize that if the underlay is worn out, you would need to then change the carpet and the underlay. So if the underlay starts to wear out, then the whole carpet needs changing, including the underlay. So this is what we then need to do. I'm going to bring this smaller piece and just show you what we have here is a layer of plastic, and then the foam in the middle, which in some cases is made up of that carpet I talked about. And we've got two layers of plastic, and in between those layers we've got the foam that gives that soft feel under the foot. That gets compressed and worn out, and in some cases I wish to move into what happens if there's a flood. If there's a flood, this underlay will soak up water. The water will go between the layers and it would get stuck there because the plastic will stop it from escaping, and it would stay wet and it become very smelly. So if you have underlay like this and you get a flood in your home, then it's definitely better to replace that altogether. So that's the replacement. The more regular clean a carpet gets, within reason, it would extend the life of the carpet. But there's also certain things homeowners can do.
Well, they're tips that we really want, aren't they? So.
Yes, absolutely. So homeowners, first of all, my advice would be to get a vacuum cleaner that is upright with a beater bar that can remove that dry soil in the carpet, because it's the dry soil that wears the fibres out quicker and your carpet gets thinner, and that would help first of all.
So a good vacuum.
A good vacuum cleaner, yes.
And regularly doing it.
Yes, of course, within reason. You know, there are people that's a bit over keen with a vacuum cleaner, but it starts with a regular vacuum, all down the edges. So it is important to get that dry soil removed. Also, walk-off mats at the entrances to keep dry soil at the entrance and not on the carpets, and take shoes off would be very helpful. And then, of course, after that, spills and stains as they appear, use a small professional stain remover to do that. And if you can't get it out, stop there and call a professional. And then I would say every 12 to 18 months a good carpet clean is advised. Just remove the soiling in the carpet itself, because the carpet acts as a filter in the home, so it's important to remove that.
Perfect. So it's good for your health as well, isn't it?
Exactly that, yes. Yes, it's good for your health because it traps all that airborne dust. So the carpet is then cleaned on a regular basis of 12 to 18 months. Stains are removed often. And if you follow that process, you will get much more life out of your carpet. In fact, I would go as far as saying you'd probably double the life of that carpet than a carpet that you would leave and nothing gets done to it. Especially, you know, that becomes more apparent if you have a family living in a home with pets and it gets busy. Then definitely a regular clean.
Like with my dog, Labradors. any fur babies, they always make that mess in the front room, don't they?
Exactly.
Especially winter.
And then of course with the vacuum you get the hair up, stops that,
Yeah.
get the soil up with a regular clean, so that all that helps definitely.
Okay.
So that's why it is important to do that cleaning first, because if you do the cleaning first, you care for the carpet, then when this question arises of shall I now replace or shall I now clean, this makes that question easier because the carpet has been maintained. But if the carpet has been deteriorating over years, and then you look at it and you think, well, shall I replace, shall I not? You're probably better off replacing them.
So if you're regularly maintaining your carpet, then just keeping it down for as long as you need to, as long as it looks okay,
Yes.
then is okay. But if you don't maintain your carpet, that's when the replacement. And
Then-
replacing is a lot more expensive.
That's right, and maybe that's something we can explore quickly as to, I've seen people call us in for carpet cleaning and quickly go, well, actually I can buy carpets for 15, even as low as 10, sometimes even less than that per meter. So 10 to 15 pounds a meter, which you can look online and you may find a carpet that will maybe meet that criteria of a very low price. But then you need to consider, if it comes to looking at a carpet and thinking, am I going to replace it or not, you then need to consider, what is it really costing? Because it doesn't really cost 10 to 15 pounds to replace a carpet. You can probably
the fitting
buy.
comes in that, the underlay will come in that. And that won't be the price that you pay for the underlay or anything, that'll be
Exactly.
extras.
So based on a few rough numbers, here's what you should look at. First of all, a 10 to 15 pound carpet is not going to be significantly strong enough to withstand a lot of foot
The
traffic.
quality won't be as
The
good.
quality would definitely not be as good, certainly not like the samples I've shown here.
No.
So that carpet would wear out very quickly. Now you probably would look to spend, for a decent carpet, somewhere in the region of about 50 to 75 pounds a metre.
Yeah.
Now that's a good quality carpet. Now of course it doesn't just hinge on the price, there's many other factors to consider, but generally speaking that's probably where you look to spend your money. You could probably get it a little bit lower, but if you spend a little bit higher you get a better quality carpet. Now that's your carpet price, let's call it £50. Then you need to consider the old carpet needs to be removed, so you have the uplift cost, which you probably look in spending about £5 to £10 a metre for uplift and disposal. There are companies that might come in and take it away and you don't know what happens with it.
Yeah.
So those might charge you as little as £2 a metre. But consider that
You
where
don't
that
know
goes.
what's actually happening to
What's
that
actually
carpet.
happening with that carpet. So now that is uplifted, the underlay is uplifted, the floor, let's say the floor is good enough for a new carpet. The carpet is quite forgiving, so it can go on a floor that's not totally level, so you would be okay probably most of the time to lift the carpet and lay a new one down. You have now lifted the underlay, you've lifted the carpet, you may have to remove the gripper rods, it depends how loose they are and how well they are, but that needs replacing as well. So you have £50 in the carpet, you have £5 to £10 in uplifting and disposal of your current carpet. You then need to go and buy the items you require, so you will need to buy the underlay.
Yeah.
So underlay, there's again various different options available. You're probably looking somewhere in the region of about 10 to 20 pounds a
For a
metre.
decent one you're looking
For a
quite
decent
expensive.
underlay, and then there are some certain specialist underlays that can cost you much more than that. Soundproofing, something that allows to go over underfloor heating, so those underlays cost much more. But let's say you come at a lower end of about £10. So you're in for the uplift at 5, you're in for £50 for the carpet, you're in for about £10 for the underlay. You then need to fit it as well. Fitting can cost in the region of about, for very cheap, low cost fitting, you're probably looking at about £10 a metre.
But again, you're paying for what you get. If
Exactly.
you go for a cheaper fitter, you're going to have fun
You will
they
get
don't fit it.
exactly.
as
So this is very, very basic fitting at about 10 to up, sometimes up to 20 a metre, depends what type of carpet you get fitted. So you are in for £50 on the carpet, you are in for £10 on the underlay, you are in for £10 on the fitting, and you're in for £5 on the uplift. So that gets you in at £75 per metre for a carpet. Now if you compare that to carpet cleaning,
Yeah.
which will mean you don't need to have all the upheaval of a total carpet removal,
No. Or
going to a
fitting.
shop looking for a carpet, is the colour going to match, you already have something there, plus the good feeling inside of I'm not putting my carpet in a skip to be going in landfill. You're probably looking at about 15 to £18 a metre for carpet cleaning. Again, there are cheaper companies out there that you may pay as little as £7 a metre for cleaning. You can then also have protection applied that just gives that worn out fibre a little bit more life. So if your carpet is still good, you think, I want to make it last another 2-3 years, get it cleaned, get it protected, and then when there's a spill, it's easier to clean up. So that gives people a bit of an idea, am I going to change it or am I not going to change it? And you said earlier, like the visual look, does it look good?
I do agree, it's a very costly market nowadays, going and buying a new carpet. I think Pierre's been quite generous as to how much it will cost you for a new carpet. So carpet cleaning probably is the better way to go if you can, and if you're maintaining your carpet properly.
Yes.
So.
Yes, certainly, because if that carpet looks really ugly, and like I said earlier, these wobbles in a carpet, so you will see there's a ruck in the carpet, it looks like that. Maybe I'm exaggerating a tiny bit in the video, but it's important to show you. There's a ruck in the carpet, and you push that by hand, and it doesn't go all the way to the edge of the room. It does mean that that carpet is delaminated. You probably would need to then get it replaced. If there's frays and the cat got to it, then definitely a replacement is a better way to go.
Perfect.
So I hope that helps.
I'm sure that does help. If there's anything else you need to know, just give us a shout. We're always happy to help anybody.
Always happy to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.